Hey, what's up, guys? Fat Merrill here with Cody. Welcome to another edition of Shooting the Shit. Man, we've had a pretty full last couple of weeks. We run a fireworks stand every year, which is something that we kind of just fell into doing it. But now that we do it, it's just part of our year. Every year we do it. We have fun with it. It's a good time. I don't know. It makes for one really long week.
It does.
Sometimes we're out there for a week and a half, which is not too bad. But then that first week, or the last week that we're out there it's a long week. So we have to stay out there with it. So we take the camper out there and we stay with the stand and rotate back and forth who has to stay the night out there and who gets to come home and sleep in their own bed. But overall, it's usually like we have a good time with it. Don't matter what we're doing, we're going to have a good time. But and every year it seems like we have to contend with a storm.
Yes.
This year was no different. Our stand sits about 8 inches up off of the ground, and the water line on the wall inside the stand was about 8 inches up, so it was about 16 inches of flowing water that came through where our stand was set. I'd gotten my truck stuck the night before, so it was bogged all the way down, to the rocker panels. So there was water that flowed through. There was water that flowed through my truck, so my truck smells like a swamp on the inside now. It's just one of those things. But like I said, it really doesn't matter what we got going on. We still, no matter what, we find a way to have fun with it. Because that's what we do. But what I was going to talk to you about today is something that you just recently brought up, you and your brother both, is there's these stunt-like activities that you say that y'all would like to try.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few of the things that y'all would like to try, and I will compare it to things that I have already done, and then we'll discuss if it's something that's doable or not. So go ahead and tell me what's your first one.
The Barbie Jeep, small vehicles, and tie it to the back of your truck.
So like towing it behind the truck.
Yeah, and then get it flowing around.
Okay, so I've never done it with a Barbie Jeep. I have done it with a mattress. We cut a hole in the mattress, ran a rope through it, tied it in a knot, tied that behind the back of the truck, and just drug each other around on the mattress. Then we built a sled. And this was when y'all were, I don't know if you remember this, because y'all were really young. These are not things that I just did when I was a kid. These are things that I've done since I was a parent. We built a sled with the sheet of plywood, and we put runners on the bottom of it, sloped up in the front so it wouldn't catch. And then we screwed an easy chair to the top of it. So you just like sitting in a chair and being drugged behind the truck. And we even took turns, because this is how good of parents we were. We took turns holding our kid, and somebody sitting in the back of the truck filming us while we were being drugged around. Of course, while we had the kids with us, we weren't doing anything too crazy, but I'm pretty sure you've already done that. You just don't remember it.
I would like to do it again.
That's doable. I would say make sure that you're doing it on a stretch of road that there's no telephone poles or mailboxes, because once you start going, there's no stopping it. You don't correct it and bring it back.
Right.
So you once that thing starts whipping out there, you're just going where it's going. That one's doable though. Well, you got anything else?
I don't know. You know the big pieces of styrofoam that are underneath the boathouses out here?
Yeah.
I have sat on one of those and paddled a little ways out. That was scary because I didn't have a real paddle. I was just using my hands. I didn't know if I was going to
off the side of it.
I didn't know if I was going to make it back to the shore.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get carried away. I don't think I'll do that again.
You just make your... Well, I mean, if you do, just take an oar with you. Just make your own styrofoam boat. Just out there paddling along.
I like to push Holden out there.
He'd freak.
It would keep him away from me. I'd be happy.
Man, we used to do all kinds of dumb stuff when we were kids. We would sit. They used to have these chairs that were just foam, but then they had a cloth cover on them, and they folded in 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 4 pieces that folded, and it made into a chair, or you could then unfold it, and it laid out into like just a foam cot that laid on the floor. And we had a few of those, and we would take those out and we would fold them out next to the shed, and we'd do flips off the shed, and we'd reenact movie scenes and act like we'd get shot and fall off the building onto them and stuff. I used to do stuff like that. I used to think that I wanted to be a stuntman when I was a kid, and then I started breaking shit and realized I didn't want to be a stuntman.
And that ain't it?
No. Yeah, we did that. We had a shed that had, on one side, it had a really steep slope. So it's kind of like this on part of the shed, and then on this other side, it had kind of like just a lean-to that came off of it, so it was more gradual sloped. And I rode skateboard off that. I rode bikes off of that, and I mean, just crush yourself because there was nowhere to go. Too, it's not like we had a wide landing strip out there. There was about 8 feet from the end of the shed was the fence. So you either had to turn real quick, which never happened, or just eat it into the fence, which is what always happened.
Right. We used to, me, PJ, and Anna used to ride skateboards off of their house.
Really?
Yeah.
Onto what? What'd you land on?
They have they have ramps coming off their front porch.
Uh-huh.
So we would attempt to land on that.
Off the house onto the ramp?
Yeah.
Just blowing your knees out?
It hurts.
Did it ever work one time the way that you wanted it to?
Yeah, I think PJ did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man. I never had anything that went exactly the way I planned it.
It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I always ate the handle on the ramp.
Bad deal. It's because like when you were coming off of it, you would reach for the handle. Just instinctively, you wanted to reach for something to grab onto. It's the same thing. Like, when I rode bulls, we'd go to practice pin. I mean, it's a no-no. You don't get off on the fence.
Right.
Because if you get off on the fence, the bull's turning, and now he's going to kick you in the back or kick you in the legs or something while you're getting off on the fence, or you're going to break ribs or something getting off on the fence. But it was just a natural thing for guys to try to do. That as soon as they get close to the fence, they're like, "Oh, here's a good place to try to get off." And it just never worked out for them. Never. I had one. We were at a practice pen, and we were just getting on some young bulls, and they were just wanting to see what they would do. And I got on one that we called it a racehorse, because they opened the gate and it didn't buck at all. It just took off at a dead run. So it was like, just getting on a horse and kicking him and getting into a full gallop right out of the gate. And our practice pen had a metal top rail, but then it had spooled cable all around the sides of it, and it was kind of built for safety. So if you got between the fence and the bull and he got up against you, the fence would give.
Right.
Top rail, not so much. So this bull that we call a racehorse, he ran straight and just stuck his head through that wire until he got to his chest, and then he couldn't go anymore. But that put my midsection right even with the top rail of that fence, and then he kicked up. Well, then when he kicked up, it just squished me, and I shit my pants. Like, it's legitimately, it squeezed the shit out of me. And that's the only time I got off on a fence intentionally, because I was already on the fence. I just pulled my hand out of the rope, flipped over the fence, walked straight to the guy's house, took my underwear off, threw in a trash can, cleaned myself the best I could, went back up there, got on a few more. That's just how I did it. But yeah, that bull, that top rail, he was just the right height that when I was on his back, my stomach was even with the top rail. And then he kicked, and when he kicked, it just and I was shotgun blast in my britches.
That's gross.
Shit my pants. It happens. It happens. Oh man, I'm trying to think of other dumb shit that we used to. Did you ever heard of guys going mailboxing? We'll take a baseball bat and hit. I never did that, but I knew some kids that they would go and do that shit. And one time, one of them came back to school and his arm's all in a sling and all this shit. And I was like, "Damn, what happened to you this weekend?" He goes, "We was mailboxing," and he hit it and it jerked his arm back, tore his rotator cuff, popped his shoulder out of socket, all kinds of stuff. He wound up having to have surgery on it. Dumb stuff people do. Of course, then we drag race. There were a couple of kids that their parents had money, so the vehicles that they were driving to race were actually worthwhile, and the rest of us just had pieces of shit that we tuned up just enough that they would get from one end of the track to the other. And I say track, we would just find a flat, straight section of road, and that's what we would race on.
Right, like the lot?
Yeah, we would go one block off of Sheridan Road, kind of back behind where Aldi's and all that is, that first road that's back there. We would go and race back there. Because it was, I don't know why, because that road almost seems like an alley. But the city of Lawton seems to take such good care of that section of road, like it's always been smooth and in good shape, which I don't understand. The main roads in Lawton are shit.
Yeah.
And you got to hold your drink when you're driving to keep from spilling it. That way you don't get beer everywhere, or pop, or whatever you're drinking. Yeah. Lawton, the whole state of Oklahoma is shit when it comes to roads.
There was that one road, I don't know what we were doing, but we were on a back road somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and it was the nicest road I've ever been on.
Yeah, I'm going to guess a county commissioner or something lives on that road. Yeah. Man, I don't know. Well, you tried, you got on a few bulls. What'd you think about that?
It's not fun.
It's not fun?
No, the last one I got on stepped on me, and that wasn't cool. I was not appreciative of that.
Man. Holden, he got on two.
Yep.
First one broke his arm. I didn't realize it broke his arm, so I was like, man, don't quit. Get on one more, and then if you don't ever want to do it again, you don't have to. But don't quit at just one, because then it'll always be in the back of your head. What if? So I talked him into it, and he's like, okay. So he got on one more with a broke arm and got hung up forever. Man, it's like got his legs all stepped on.
Ripped his pants.
Yeah, ripped his pants. About to pull his pants off of him.
He was missing both boots.
Pulled both of his boots off. Well, he was in rough shape, man. He had a full bull riding career in two bulls. We got him off that one. I said, "You want to try one more?" He said, "Nope."
He was a truck.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm going to truck before they talk my ass into getting on something else." Oh man, that was fun. I mean, I didn't win no Parent of the Year award that week, but because then we waited, because it really didn't look like nothing. I mean, I watched it back on video and it didn't look like nothing.
And he just fell.
Yeah, he just fell. I really think that the helmet is what broke his arm, because the way he fell with his arm up, and I think it broke his arm here.
You're right.
So I feel like the helmet, it just kind of tweaked it underneath there, and that's what broke his arm.
The helmet was also big.
Yeah. It was large. Still got it. Need to sell it. There ain't nobody else going to get on.
Anyone need a bull helmet?
Yeah, we got a bull riding helmet for sale. Anybody's interested, holler at us. That was a fun couple. I'm glad that you guys tried it. I'm glad that y'all tried it. Just, there's a lot of things that your average everyday person is going to think, that's dumb. Why would you ever do that? But to me, they're all life experiences. So now, it doesn't matter if you ever do anything rodeo related again, you have somewhat of an understanding and a respect for what those guys do.
Right.
Driving a car too fast, getting out of control, doing these, crazy stuff. You want to drag each other behind a vehicle on a Hot Wheels and shit like that. They're all life experiences that help you in the long run with dumb stuff. I mean, there's dumb stuff that I've done in my life that there's a lesson that I learned from that I use in other things. Corrective steering, for example, when driving too fast on icy roads. That's when you really learn about corrective steering, or just wet roads and something getting loose on you. Just doing dumb stuff. That's where good life lessons come from. That's what I always say.
Let's do a lot of dumb stuff.
I've done it already.
I want to.
Do it. I'll help you. I'm that kind of parent. You gonna do something stupid? I got you. I'll help you build that. So this is my new favorite joke. What did one duck say to the other?
What?
Quack. I love that. It's so funny to me. Thanks for not laughing. Oh gosh. Makes me laugh. No matter what. Man, TikTok has taken the world by storm, hasn't it?
I'm always on it.
So there's so many people are. It's like I don't get on TikTok very often, but when I do, it's like 45 minutes later. I'm like, oh shit! Like I was supposed to be doing something.
Right.
Like it's so easy to fall into that wormhole and just keep scrolling one video to the next. Your mom says that she doesn't have a problem with it, but she's on TikTok a lot. And it's pretty genius. There are people who have gotten famous off of a 30-second or 1-minute video. They just post doing random dumb stuff. I mean, it's just like any of the other social medias where people have blown up and got famous too. But I mean, you got 30 seconds, or a minute.
Like, how long were Vines?
I don't even know. See, I never even had, because that was an app too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I never even had that app.
That was a long time ago.
It was, but I mean, it was a long time ago for you. It was not that long ago for me. I mean, time-wise, it's the exact same amount of time. But I mean, for you, it's when you were very, very young.
Right.
But for me, I mean, I was already involved in social media and stuff. But Vine was just something I never even paid that much of attention to.
Honestly, those were like 10-second videos.
Yeah,
they were really short.
Yeah, and people got famous off of those too. YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat. I mean, people can blow up if you, and it's all the right person sees it. Or you get enough people to look at it, and then other people start taking notice of, how many views something has gotten, and that's what people live for now, is likes, follows, and views. That's all. That's what I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do right now is likes, follows, and views, so that you can gain traction, get bigger, people take notice, and then then you can do more stuff. That's it. Dustin Sims, blew up and got famous with Snapchat and, other social medias and, just doing his rants. He put on the filter with the round face, the big eyes, and the big mouth, and he would just go on there and do these rants and talk shit and tell jokes, and now this guy is booking comedy shows quicker than anybody, and that's all it is you just get the views, follows, and likes, and once you get enough of them, because that's why people book him based on his social media presence. It's crazy.
Just start posting rants.
I don't really have nothing to rant about. It's not my thing. I don't rant about stuff. I don't rant about stuff that's funny. Like, I get pissed off and rant about stuff that would be offensive to people, which might work too. But
cancel culture is big.
Yeah. But there are people who've gotten famous for doing shit that pissed people off.
Mm-hmm. Al Qaeda.
Okay, so maybe not that extreme.
They got famous.
They did. They did. They probably had more views than anybody else on YouTube.
They made a lot of people mad.
Their videos were harsh. Probably not supposed to be laughing about that. I don't know. Yeah, like when I go on rants, it's about transgenders playing girl sports or
Right.
or other things.
Who was the UFC fighter that changed to a girl and kept fighting
I don't know.
and was beating women?
I don't know. I don't know what. Let's look it up.
That was. He was like knocking him out in the first round.
Fallon Fox.
Yeah,
That's who it was.
I think so.
Let's see. Oh wow, is this him, her?
Yeah.
No way.
I think
Okay, that's not the same guy.
that is her though.
That is her.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
I don't know what he looked like as a guy. He wasn't doing too good in the where he was fighting men.
Joe Rogan comes out against transgender MMA fighter Fallon Fox fighting women. I agree. I mean, I don't. And a lot of people think, when that argument comes up, a lot of people are talking about it just as it pertains to combat sports, whether it be boxing or MMA or whatever. But I don't like the idea of it in any sport. And it's just, look, man, I don't care if you're go through the full transformation and you're taking estrogen, I don't even know how it all works. But it doesn't replace the years of testosterone that have already been in your system. There are just too many. I don't know. I don't agree with it, and I'm not against transgenders at all. I do what you want to do, but here's my thing: is I believe that what people think is that my whole life I felt different. I need to make this change. And they think that once they make this change, now all the world is going to be perfect for them. That's not the case. People who are straight and never had to deal with that still have things in their life that they're not allowed to do, or things that are out of their reach. You can't make this physical change and all of a sudden everything else falls into place. That's not the way it works. That's not the way life works. That's not the way the world works. It just doesn't work that way. So you don't have the ability to go through this procedure and have these changes and now everything is better and going to go your way. No. You are now going to have to... There are things that you gave up before you went through these changes, things that you weren't allowed to do, things that were off limits to you for whatever reason. Now you go through these changes. There are still things that are going to be off limits to you or not, that you're not allowed to do. Those things may change. There may be things that you couldn't do before that you can do now, but there are now going to be things that you can't do that you could do before. So...
Like peeing in urinals?
Yeah. But I disagree with it. I don't think, and here's the deal. This is, in my opinion, is when you make that change, when you go through the transformation, you do all the things that you've decided were best for you and your life. That's great. I support you on that. Now, you either can't play that sport anymore. If we're just talking about how it pertains to sports, you can't play that sport anymore because you can't switch and play for the other gender's team because you have an unfair advantage, whether you think you do or you don't. And there have been transgender world-class athletes who agree with this. You would have an advantage. Just imagine if Bruce Jenner, in his prime, made the change to Caitlyn Jenner and then went and changed and started competing in the women's class. He would have blown him out of the water. It would have been ridiculous. So even there are transgender world-class athletes who also disagree with transgenders men playing in women's sports. So you either don't get to play that sport anymore, or maybe now, because it is a more widely accepted thing, because making the transition and going through these changes or whatever is more widely accepted. I'm not saying that there aren't still complications and people dealing with discrimination based on it or whatever, but since that community is growing, then maybe there should be another class added to different sporting events. Just make it a transgender sports class, to where now you're playing against other people who are more evenly matched with your physical abilities. I think is probably the cleanest way to say that. I mean, and by cleanest, I mean there's no offense in that at all. It's now you're going to be competing against people who are more physically matched with you. But going from a man to a woman and then competing in women's events, you are still physically not properly matched.
Right.
And it would be a bad deal. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. And like I said, I absolutely no issue with transgenders or anything having to do with the LGBTQ community. I know that there's more than that to it now, but I don't know what they are. I have no problem with any of that. I think that everybody should be able to do what they want with themselves, with their personal being. So it's absolutely nothing to do with being discriminative towards them. It's just what's fair, and that's my opinion on it. And that's why I don't do rants. That's why I don't do rants. Yeah. Fallon Fox, get the hell out of here. This is ridiculous. There's no way that you should have been competing.
She's not a fighter anymore. But she made the change, and then in her first...
Oh, okay, this is her before and after.
Yeah, she was just wiping them out.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You don't like ranting?
Sometimes I just get carried away with my rants, and I don't slow down and think about things, because I don't feel like anything I have to say is offensive or discriminative or certainly not racial. But I do know that sometimes if you don't say things right, it could be misconstrued as you being, one of those things. And I don't ever want to do that. I never want to be offensive or hurtful to anyone. I'm certainly not racist or discriminating against anyone. I think that everyone should have all the opportunities in the world, as long as they're fair to everyone. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's get off of that subject. Let's get off that subject.
What about the thing I told you earlier this week?
What?
The friend of mine. Makeup brush.
Woo! You want to talk about that?
Well, just no names.
Yeah, we won't mention any names. So, you want to tell the story?
No, you can't.
So, apparently, oh yeah, no names. And you're welcome for there not being any names. A young man, friend of my son's, his girlfriend was performing fellatio. And while she was down there, she took her makeup brush and surprised him with the handle in. Yeah! Let me tell you something. Young lady, if you should happen to watch this, that's a good way to get punched in the top of the head. Okay? Young man, why in the hell would you tell your friends that happened? Because you know they're going to talk about it. You know they're not going to let that. That's coming up. That's going to be brought up. They're going to talk about it. You are going to get made fun of for it. That's But yeah, I'm going to tell you. Whoo! Ha! Bop! Right on the top of the head. I'd make sure that I cleared the hanger before I hit it, though. Golly. I have never experienced that. I've heard people talk about it, and no. Not happening. And again, the people I've heard talk about it make it sound like it's a good idea. That's fine. You do what you want to do. Don't surprise me with that shit, and don't think that if you do surprise me, there's not going to be consequences. No, hell no.
Everyone in my friend group was so excited it was going to be talked about on here.
I'm saying, like, why would you tell your friends about that?
He's the only one that doesn't know we're talking about it. His girlfriend knows, and everyone else in the group chat knows.
She knows that we were going to talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
So she thinks it's funny, too?
Yes.
Oh. Golly. Well, you're welcome for us not mentioning names, because it's hard not to. It's hard not to just straight bust you out. But I'm not gonna. Man. I don't even know. I cannot imagine that I would react well to that.
No.
Like, I don't... Maybe I wouldn't punch her in the top of the head. That's the first thing that comes to my head, is if somebody did that, I would punch them in the top of the head. Maybe I wouldn't do that, but I promise you, like, we're not hanging out together no more.
I don't know. They still hang out.
Oh, man. I don't know, like, what do you talk about after that, though? Like, what is the conversation between those two after that?
You go get lunch?
No. Well, now I'm hungry. I don't know. I can't. Like I said, I've never been in that situation. I've heard of people being surprised. I've heard of people who it's not a surprise, they welcome it, but
When Corinne will poke me in the butt area while I'm fully dressed still, and I freak out.
Yeah.
If anything gets close to that, I'm like,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah. I got out of the shower one day, had my foot up on the side of the tub, drying my leg off. And your mom snuck in behind me and just run her finger up, cracking my ass. I jumped the side of the tub, started peeling tile off the wall, trying to get away from him. Scared the shit out of me. No. Oh, no. I don't know. And it was like, could you imagine? Here's something else transgender related
Going back
that
to
I'm going to talk about. Yeah. I definitely think that if you are I didn't know how else to silence it, so I just turned everything off. It's probably not the right way. Anyway,
it works.
If you are transgender and you now go out, I think that it's something that you should disclose. I don't think that that's something you should spring on them. I don't think it's something you should surprise, or not really surprise them with. But I think that it's something you should definitely be upfront about.
Right.
Even full transformation, I think that you should still be upfront and open about it. Because that's another thing. Like, I don't know how I would react if
the morning after.
Yeah. Oh, by the way. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, I think it's something you got to be. And it's, man, and I've seen pictures of guys that have gone through that transformation and are beautiful. You would never know. You would never be able to tell. But I still think that it's something that you should be honest about and not surprise nobody. Well, it was a great night last night. Oh, yeah. Well, I learned a lot of those moves from when I used to be a dude. What? Bad deal. Bad deal. So anyway, all right, let's get back off that. Get back off that subject again. Anyway, let's talk about stuff we got coming up. Tomorrow night, I'll be at the Speak Lounge in Chickasha, Oklahoma, for a comedy show, and then July 24th we'll be at the Ritz Theater in Shawnee. July 28th we'll be in Lawton at the Guitar Bar. So there's the 3 next upcoming shows that I've got. If you're in or around any of those areas and you need something to do, be needing a good laugh, make sure that you make arrangements to get out to one of those shows. I guarantee you that they'll be a good time. We'll have fun. I like to hang out afterwards and visit with everybody. Sometimes we have after parties that everybody's invited to. I don't know that there's an after party scheduled for any of those 3. 2 of them are in bars, so the after party will just be there. At the Ritz Theater in Shawnee, the owner had talked about doing an after party. I don't know the details on it yet, but as soon as I do, I'll make sure that they're posted. Make sure that you go on Facebook and follow the Fat Merrill comedy page, and then go here on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and be sure that you click that notification bell so that you get notifications anytime we post anything else. On this channel, at least for right now, is where all Shooting the Shits will be uploaded, and it's also where Cheaper Than Therapy is uploaded. And make sure that you own Facebook also. You can go to the Cheaper Than Therapy Facebook page and follow that as well. That's mine and Kristen Rochelle. We're doing that together, as well as the podcast for Cheaper Than Therapy. And then the Shooting the Shit is usually Cody and I, but sometimes I'll be having other guests on, and I'll shoot the shit with them instead. You got anything else? No? All right. So that's going to be it for this go-around. Appreciate everybody who watches. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, and we'll be back with more.